Today I built the ultimate cave bunker tech base in ARK Survival Ascended on Ragnarok. If you follow the river flowing through the Green Knob Valley, you'll get to some waterfalls, and on top of those waterfalls, behind the waterfall actually, is a big cave, and it's actually a very big cave that I've transformed into this bunker themed base, mostly using the bunker structure custom cosmetic, and of course a few other ones like the Quantum Astral cosmetic, the Golden Dynasty cosmetic, and maybe a few more and other mods to decorate the place. We'll see that once we're walking around in the base, but the main goal was to actually create the ultimate all-in-one ARK base, at least for what I want and need from a base. So this base offers a lot of room for my creatures, plenty of dino parking docks where I can either park my land creatures, my flyers. There's even a water pen in the little lake below the waterfall, which funnily enough is actually big enough even for creatures like the mosasaur. And of course this bunker, besides having room for my creatures, also needed some room for my crafting and storage room, which should be plentiful, and of course should have room for the bigger structures like forges and the tech replicator. It even has a nice garden in the cave to bring some life back to this place, and that's actually where I started experimenting with the usage of dermises to create really cool scenes and bring my base back to life. Then of course I've got my main base here, which on itself could actually be a full base if you build it anywhere, but here it's mostly my home where I can log out safely. I've got my creatures there, and I can do a little bit of breathing there as well. And all the way at the back of the cave, at the other entrance, because yes, there is actually an entrance at the other side of the cave too, there's a Giga and Carchar sized bunker, so that I also have space to park those biggest creatures, do all the breeding I want to do there, and of course just have a really cool bunker aesthetic in this cave. Now, since this is a build that is very specific to this location, I won't be making a full step-by-step build tutorial for this one. But luckily enough, I've actually built this entire thing, except for all the decorations that I added afterwards, on stream as well. So you can already follow along and see exactly how I made this and what kind of decisions go into making a base like this. So whether you want to try and follow along on this exact location, or maybe you just want some inspiration for your very own cave bunker base, you can use those streams to kind of learn the decisions and the design language that go into making a build like this. For the actual main base in the middle of the cave, I didn't do that on stream, but I will be making a full step-by-step tutorial on that one very soon, since that build can be used pretty much anywhere. Before we head into the full tour of the base where we see everything in more detail, I want to ask you, if you enjoy seeing builds like this, don't forget to leave a like on the video, really helps me out, and of course don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. And of course also feel free to leave a comment down below with a build you would like to see next. And then before we start the actual tour, here is a cinematic of my new bunker base. here we are. We are in the Green Ob Valley. As you can see, the Green Ob is right there. And as I said, following the river up, you get to these waterfalls, which is where my bunker is hiding. But you can also see this big lake. That is my water pen, where I built this dam as a defensive wall. And if you want to find this exact location, it is located right over here on the map. As I said, on Ragnarok. Very cool location. This is a beautiful valley by itself, but of course an amazing location if you want to do a cool cave base like I did in this video. First of all, we've got the water pen here, so I built some simple walls up here to make sure that nothing gets into the water uninvited. There's also turrets around this just to make sure that nothing can actually get to the creatures that are in the water. And then there is this really cool dam-like design, and you might think, but creatures could get in and out through this. We're using ARK Structures Remastered, which has glass and has the option to turn it pretty much invisible. So there's some invisible glass in there to make sure that it is completely safe, while still keeping the feeling like we're letting some water flow down into the river through this entire dam. And yeah, I do really like the way this turned out. It's a very simple design, trying to keep the structures a little bit on a minimum, and these bunker structure cosmetics just have very cool skins for the large walls with these details that are kind of like dripping down from it, as you can see, which has actually been a really valuable addition for these builds. Then there's a walkway on the top here if you wanted to, but not really any function, and then some of these fans rotating around just to add a little bit of extra details. But most importantly, of course, we've got the water pen, and as you can see, Mosas fit inside. We do have the paleo mod that gives a big TLC to the Mosa. That's why it looks like this, and it's actually pretty deep, this little lake. As you can see, there's another Mosa right down there, easily parked all the way down. But more importantly, we have a nice breeding setup here with some docks that are slightly below the water surface, which I quite like the look of. We've got some of my Helicoprion here ready for some breeding. Really cool shark creatures. You might not realize this, but I like sharks quite a bit. Yeah, so nice little setup. We got a feeding trough here as well, and then we have a small little base that can be used here for the breeding purposes. And more importantly, we have some power here and a teleporter up back into the base. So the way I've done it for a lot of this base is actually use teleporters as quick ways to get around, setting up a default destination in the teleporter, so you can just press reload to teleport over to wherever it's linked to. So if we close up this base, I can press R for me on PC, and it teleports me right up to the top, which if we go right back to the edge, we can see, we can look down into the actual water pen. Now there is actually some more little details. I also built this little bunker here along the edge to make sure that the other side was also covered with some turrets. So you can see I made this little half circle base with a nice grass roof with some plants on it, just to make sure that anything that falls down from these cliffs also gets shot before it reaches my creatures. And then we get, of course, to the main event, my ultimate bunker in a cave, using tech structures and basically being the ultimate endgame ARK base, in my opinion. I really love this one. This has definitely been a passion project, and a lot of effort has been going into making this build feel alive and lived in, and I'm actually still kind of in the process of fully moving in. It is also on my community servers, on my community cluster, so potentially you could come and visit this as well if you want to join my community servers. All that you need to do is join my Discord, and you'll find all the information about playing on the server yourself right over there. So for now, we have this beautiful entrance, as you can see over here. Quite a simple little design here going on with a little bit of overgrown looks here to make it feel a little bit more special. but more importantly, just some really cool usage of these bunker skins. I've also got my custom logo here made by Mr. Wild Times. This is using the Scribbles mod, which is a mod that changes signs and lets you upload your own custom images to it, basically by using a URL. And that's how I've got these custom signs here from Shark Industries. And then the first main part of the bunker here is this first hallway, which is the first bunker hallway. And you can see on the left we've got a bunch of parking bays for different creatures, and on the right we have some bays for our flyers. Quite a cool little design in my opinion. I really like the way this looks, and the whole shape of the hallway I think is very cool. You can also see through these rosters at the top, that is actually where the crafting and storage hall is. Kind of a look through, which I quite like too. So we have some of my Edmontonia here, which is my main utility and resource gatherer. You can also see a crane there, that's from Visual Storage, which instantly unloads them, sends up all the resources to the storage system above. Then, as I said, we have a few of these parking bays for flyers up there too, which is quite cool in my opinion. Quite convenient. They're neatly lined up there. And then on the other side here, we have a bunch of them for my other creatures. So we have some Rexes here, actually Tarbos from another paleo mod, and then we have some more creatures. Most of these creatures actually come from the Jurassic event that I hosted for a while, where we actually built a very similar bunker to this as our main survival base. But of course that was just a timed event, so that is now over, and that inspired me to build basically a bigger and improved version for real on the actual cluster that we play on. And this is now going to be my main ARK base going forward, so that I can finally make sure that I don't lose all the stuff that I've collected every time I move on to a new map. So yeah, if we follow along this pathway, we kind of get to the heart and center of the base. So here we've got all of the lovely gardens. Further on we'll have the main base of me where I log out in, but here we actually have the crafting and storage hall, which has some really cool designs. You can see a bunch of crystals around here as well. So this is the main entrance. You can actually also fly in here. You can also see some windows looking out over the rest of the cave, but in general just makes for a really cool central part. There's also again a lot of different ways to get around, because we can go down here, we can go down there. There's a bunch of different paths that all connect up together. Before we go in though, let's take a closer look at some of these flyer parking bays. You can see a pretty decent amount of room in here actually to park either two flyers side by side, or even the bigger flyers really easily. And on these sides, again, some of the landscaping of the cave of course coming in, but still plenty of size for them to be parked in a neatly order. Then let's go in to the actual crafting and storage hall. Got another sign here. Again, we're using Architect Structures Remastered, which is a mod, and it actually has televators, which is an elevator that you can jump on to teleport to the next layer, or crouch on to go back down. Of course, in vanilla, you probably want to do this with linked teleporters, so you can press R to teleport around. But for me here, that's the way I've set it up. We got a little bit of an entrance hall here with a teleporter, so I can quickly teleport in here. This is actually linked to my main base, so once we get there, there's a teleporter in there, so I can very quickly go from my main base into the actual storage system. And then this is a smithy with the astral cosmetic. The teleporter is also astral. This is also astral skins, and the rest is mostly bunker. We got a little bit of wall and floor deco in here as well. Again, of course, the custom sign and a little dermis, well, a very big dermis of one of my cosmos, because I really love that. And we have some golden dynasty on feeding troughs here for some extra details. Then we have my main crafting and storage hall over here. So this is on top of the walkway we were just at. You can look down here as well, see all creatures. I really like this part where the wyvern kind of tries to follow us and look at us. I think that is really cool. But in here you'll see that I have a bunch of space for a pretty nice setup as a crafting hall. So I've got all my daddies here above this dividing wall, and then against that wall we have different crafting stations, some normal ones like the smithy with the factory cosmetic, but also ASR here. We have wall and floor deco, JVH for landscaping. We got some forges here with the astral cosmetic, looking very, very cool. Definitely one of my favorite ones to use for utilities nowadays. We've got my replicator right there. We've got the chem bench over here. We have my my tech generator in there. With like a hidden doorway here to the side, so I could still get in there too. We have a crane over here. We have the medium teleporter. If I want to teleport somewhere and teleport my utility creatures back in, I can do so right in here. And then we have a little kitchen area over here, quite nice and cozy with a decent setup. We have some vaults for storage over here. We have a fabricator with some more vaults over there. As you can see, not all the daddy storage has been set up yet. I'm still kind of moving in to the base as we speak. Got my grinder over here with the astral cosmetic, and then a nice library over there so that I can link up my blueprints once I get fully set up. And we have the mega lab here in the corner in case, you know, I need to use that for like the babyfying and, you know, whatever else it can do. But yeah, it's a pretty nice setup, and so far it's been really nice to use it. You can also see some of these arches kind of as supports from the bunker going into the existing cave to all tie it together as one big base and build. So that is the crafting and storage area. Quite a nice spacious area, I think, and definitely is going to be really useful to me. Then we get into what is maybe been my favorite project, and definitely has been a little bit of an obsession, which is these lovely gardens with a lot of dermises. And if you're wondering how I got some of these dermises to float or well kind of fly up in the air, that's because I used again ASR with invisible glass pieces to place them up in higher spots. But there's actually a lot of cool little details in here, like the drakeling. We have a Dinosuchus here. We have the Stego, Cosmo. We have Theri there. We have the bear. We have some Thylas in here. RG, the Quets, and the S Rhino here to make a really cool scene, which kind of fills up the space in my base, but also adds a lot of life, I think. Then we got a winter scene here with some of the S-Owls here, even with some nest up here with a tiny little one in there. The nest itself is from the wall and floor deco mod. We have another Cosmo. Again, really like Cosmo, so I have a bunch of them hidden around. We've got the Owl Griffin, the Ice Wyvern. We've got a Rhino here, a little Dire Wolf, a Yeti looking quite mean. We've got a Mammoth here, a Veilwyn. We got an aquarium here too with some Helicoprion and a Megalodon, of course, and even the Megalodon teeth from the summer event to really tie it all together. Then you can even take a little stop here for some water, which is quite nice. Then we get to the next scene, and this middle part I really like. So this is one of the Rexes or the Tarbos on the left, and then the Big L Wax Spino on the right, kind of creating a Jurassic Park feeling scene. Got a little Jerboa here. Got a lovely scene here with the Nonacus. We've got the Rex, of course, here. We got Carchar, a Giga back there, Iguana, Griffin, Gigantoraptor, Drakeling, Fire Wyvern. We got some eggs in there too. We have a bison here. Yeah, really cool. And again, I really just enjoyed making all these scenes. We have a Faso over here. We have some vultures up in the sky. We have this big Spino. We have a Mantis. We have the Impero here, the Lidu, again a Cosmo, a Deathworm, and even a little kangaroo back there hopping into frame. And then finally we have an aberration display here. So we have the Basilisk, Featherlight up there, Drake up there. We have a Carcanos, Yeeling diving down. There's a Megalosaurus in there, an S-Reaper, normal Reaper up here, and then of course Cosmo, Bulbdog, and a little Shinehorn. All just to add a bunch of life to this place and decorated with a bunch of JVH to make these scenes really come to life and tie the whole place together. Then over here we have a little pond using the crystal custom cosmetic to create the water. We got the sculptures catalog cosmetic to get the big shark here. Again, the custom sign and a lovely balcony and a little look already into kind of my tribe meeting room down into the base. But first of all, we'll get to that entrance. So this is the main base. I didn't build that on stream, but I will be making a full step-by-step tutorial on how to build that. I might actually skin it differently in the tutorial just to kind of show you what you could use it for and like how you could change it by using different cosmetics. But I do think that is a really nice base to use. We'll be there in just a sec. Got a little rhino wall here because, I mean, you probably all know that if you park rhinos normally, they start flying after each restart. So this is a nice way to make sure that they keep attached and into the same position. And if you're wondering about this special one, that's a shiny. That's one of the prizes we sometimes give away on the cluster. Then we have our main base with some lovely decorations around, some lovely little garden areas, as you can clearly see already here in the front. We also have some of these shipping containers, which is also from the Astral Custom Cosmetic. Then the Golden Dynasty is coming in here, and of course the Bunker Cosmetic still. We have the main entrance here to a little breeding room, but also these lovely little gardens out in front with nice little benches and just a bunch of little greenery to bring some life into the cave landscape. And part of it, of course, has been covered by snow because of the climate here, but some of it is still nice and green. And then we have some more shark statues hidden in these bushes, of course, to tie it all together. And of course the logo as well, greeting you before you go inside. And then inside the main base, first of all, we have this main room, which is definitely a little breeding room for smaller to medium-sized creatures. So I've got some of my Deinonychus here, got some Cosmos breeding, some Mega Raptors, and got, you know, all I need to hatch them, to sort and organize them, some gene storage, and we're using Dino Depot as well, so I've got that set up here. We got another one of these feeding troughs to make sure they're all fed and healthy. And then we can go into the next room. Now, this is the one room that completely is not done yet. It is going to be an artifact display room, so I want to go and challenge myself to make sure that I get all the different artifacts from all the maps and get maybe a bunch of trophies here as well, if I can transfer them over, so that I can have a really cool display, maybe even get some of the boss dermises to tie it all together. But yeah, in general, just a really nice area. And if you use this base as just this base, probably you would have a bunch of storage and crafting in here. And then over here, this is where I have my tribe table. We can do some tribe meetings. Nice and clean setup with a lovely view here over that little pond with the shark statue. And we got some other details and decorations in here just to kind of fill it up, and also a nice view over that breeding room, which I quite enjoy. Then over here at the back, we actually have another little room with a cellar door so that you can open up the top, but you can also, of course, keep it closed if you want to have more space up there. This is where hopefully I will be sorting my creatures so that I don't lose them and have them nicely organized. But I also really like the skins on these beams. This is using the Astral Cosmetic for some really nice little details in a build like this. And then we have some of these Golden Dynasty feeding troughs as awesome details too. And another little breeding situation going on here for some Cosmo and Drakelings. And then this teleporter is actually set up to the crafting hall. So as I said, when we were over there in the crafting hall, they are linked by the default teleportation option. So if I press R, I'm back at the storage hall. Press R again, I'm back in my main house. Just a really nice and convenient way, which you could also do on official or, you know, just anywhere as soon as you have the teleporters. And it's just a quick way to get around a big base like this. Over here, I've got some rooms for my tribe mates. They can log out here. They've got these little terminals as well to use for temporary storage if they ever come over to Ragnarok and, you know, want to have a safe spot to log out. We have the beautiful balcony here as well to enjoy the views over the gardens and, you know, just have a nice little spot to relax at. And then we have, well, the main building there, but we actually also have another hidden elevator here. If I jump over here, I'll get to the rooftop, which has a nice little garden on it. So using the cozy cabin cosmetic, you have these lovely grass textures to kind of get your own little nicely mowed lawn, which is a great addition, which I used on the top of this build to get this effect. And then we got a bunch of trees to kind of decorate all around, and yeah, bring again a little bit of life and greenery to this cave, because you know, otherwise it is very gray in here. Then if we go out here, as I said, we get to the main build, and I really like some of the shapes on this build, especially this supporting pillar over here. Really like the way that looks. And we also have then the walkway through here. We can already look into the house a little bit, but we can also look out over the other side of the bunker. And as you can see, this is the bunker side for the bigger creatures, my Gigas, my Carchars, and even the big L wax Spino, which is basically a Giga-sized Spino, which is really, really cool. Then over here we have that cellar door. As I said, we can close it up for some extra space if we need to. I've got my transmitter with the astral skin here. And yeah, in general, just a really nice addition to the base, connecting the two different sides together, and of course having my main base here right in the middle. So this build is what is actually my living quarters, my room, my bedroom. I've got my shiny cryo fridge here. Some of the prize creatures that I give away sometimes for certain things on the cluster, I'll have organized over here. We have the room of the OG Peter Parker, which is my OG Cosmo that I used on Aberration. He's got a lovely little room with a picture of the Broodmother, and he's got a tiny shark. I've got a tiny spider. He's got a tiny shark, you know. And these walls are then the Golden Dynasty skins to bring a little bit of warmth and coziness. Got some Astraeus custom cosmetics here as well for this little kitchen area. And then we can take up the stairs to the next layer with a little dining room over here. Some really cool pictures using the wall and floor deco mod, which have cool animations from the animated series. We got my living room over here with a beautiful picture on the wall too. And then finally, we have my bedroom back here. Cryo fridge, dino terminal, some storage, and a tech sleeping pod for me to log out in. And then if we follow the stairs all the way up, we actually get to the rooftop where, I mean, I guess I could park some flyers. I've got some Dino Ball displays up here on the edge of my two Cosmo setups. So this is the, well, the Spider-Man color that I went for. And then I also have my more ether colors, but still a little bit of that red in there for the Spider-Man effect, which I quite like as a little accent color. So they're on here. They're in the Dino Ball display, so that they kind of still animate and move when you look at them, which is really cool. And here you can see the top of these giant bunker structures for these biggest creatures. Now over here on the top we also have a teleporter setup. This is actually linked to the one here at the outside because well, one, to indicate for other people that there's actually a base here underground, but also to make sure that we have a tribe tower. There is a little building outside here which has the tribe tower. This is all the bunker structure cosmetics, and that makes sure that we have a tribe tower to power and buff us, but also that people can see, oh, there is an actual base here. Because if you don't know about these caves, it can be a little bit harder to find it, of course. And then this is back to the crafting hall, and then of course this way I can get back to my house. So that was all the way at the top there, but then if we go out this side, you can see a little bit of a walkway here which slowly goes down into where we have the Gigas and Carchars. We have a cliff platform here too, so I can park my fly here if I'm going in and out of the base quickly before permanently parking it. And we have the walkways all the way down here just as an extra way to get around. And then here we have these giant parking docks for the biggest creatures. So I've got some of my Paleo Gigas here. They're currently breeding with these awesome colors that I managed to get and bred onto them. Then I actually just got this one. One of my tribe mates, Ellie, has given me this beautiful signed Carchar that she managed to breed on the stats that I gave her, which is really, really fun. And it's definitely, you know, looking the part. It's still growing up, but it's getting there. Then we have another Carchar here with a really cool saddle, the tribal warrior saddles, which is a really cool skin. And then we have a Theory using that same cosmetic too. And we have one of those big Spinos looking mean. But yeah, again, I really like the bunker look. You can see this is a lot taller. I like that my house is perfectly aligned in the middle with it, so you can see that in the background. And actually on top of here we also have some extra flyer parking spots for my bigger creatures like the dragons, but also the owl griffin over there. We have an ice wyvern here and even a very big dragon right there too. Then we have a little bit of a control room in here too. Not that I really needed anything here, but just to kind of balance out this main gate that we have here. You can also get there again by teleporter that I've set up. And then back here there's actually a ramp that goes up, and if we follow all the way across this is where you get back to the main entrance of my house and to the garden area. So yeah, for bigger creatures, if I wanted to walk them into base, this would be the pathway to take. So I wanted to make sure that is all still there. And then again, this teleporter is linked up to that control room so that I can do some breeding here, gene storage, etc. All nicely set up there. And then if I feel particularly cruel, or maybe I need some kibble, I did set up a bio grinder here, you know, just in case I need it. I don't know if I'll use it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But at least, you know, I figured might as well, if it is gonna be the ultimate base, feels like I need at least that one somewhere. But yeah, that kind of ties it all together. We get all the way over here, which is then the other side and the other entrance. You can see the pathway up to here, and we have a lovely gate and entrance here too. A little bit more simple, but we do have a behemoth gate in here, so I can actually close this off if I want to, and then you can barely tell there's anything here. But it is, in my opinion, a really, really cool base. This was a little bit of a passion project and something that I just really wanted to do, build myself a really cool and useful base that I can you know, continue to bring life to, actually use in my playthrough on my community cluster, because I do actually play quite a bit on here and, you know, do boss fights with people and have a good time around here. And I felt like I needed a really proper base spot here to call my permanent home. And I think this one definitely offers pretty much all I could ever need or could ever want. So I am very happy with it. I hope you guys like it as a build too. I do think it's a really cool build. Of course, it only really works right here in this cave, but there's definitely a lot of design language for bunkers if you want to also build your own bunker in maybe a different cave, and you know, you want some inspiration for kind of the design language, like these shapes you could possibly use. Well, this main build, as soon as I make the tutorial for that, that's definitely going to be a nice build. You can use that pretty much wherever you want. You don't even have to build that in a cave, and probably don't even need to use the bunker structures necessarily. You could definitely build this with other skins too. It's just a really nice build in my opinion, and yeah, it's got a lot of really cool little features hidden around the base, some really cool sights to see, details to explore, and just, yeah, I just like bunker structures. I don't know what it is about the bunker structure cosmetic, but it's definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite, which is why I've really enjoyed working on this base and building something really, really cool. And also just very, very useful. That kind of has everything from big creatures like the Giga and Carchar, like all the other dinos that have their own space. I can breed in here. I've got my crafting, my storage. I've got everything I need. And even the addition of the water pen down below here, of course, is an added bonus and kind of makes sure that this is, in fact, the one thing I need for all of the things that I could be wanting to do. So that is very, very useful and has been very, very fun to work on. So hopefully you enjoyed the tour of this entire place, and maybe it's giving you some inspiration if you want to build in your own cave. Even if it's not this exact cave, you could definitely do something similar to it, whether it is on this giant scale or maybe a little bit smaller. Of course, there is a lot of possibilities there, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the tour. If you did, of course, don't forget to leave a like, because that really does help me out, and of course subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my other videos, and feel free to leave suggestions for future builds you'd like to see me do, and then maybe you'll see that one next. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in another video. Goodbye.